All right, Graph is back to look at more graphs. And Jade is here. Say hi, Jade.
Hey, everybody.
What's up? Now, what I want to look at today is bylines in detail. So bylines can be drawn on every graph. And if you're trading or you're looking to buy a coin, you can put in a buy graph on any coin at all, a byline, sorry. And they're very useful. You should really not buy anything if it's below the byline. And if it's on the byline, it's good to buy. So I've gone back to 2013 and the bull run there to draw in some bylines for you, so we can practice and see how relevant they were in history. So here you can see this line. I've drawn it based on these candles here. Can you see, Jade?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to touch the edge of as many candles as I can, and I send it off into history. And you can see it worked as a line again. The price came back down to it. So
yeah, it touched it.
So that byline is very useful, and we'll see it in future cycles as well. Now then, once we started going up, we left this byline, you can put in new bylines. So it's just, here's the byline under these three candles, okay? And you can see, and I added in these wicks as well. So it became a sell line when price was over here. So when price went up to it, it was now a sell line, and somebody sold their coins and price went down, okay? And this side is a sell line just off these two candles here, because they're kind of close. This one was a little bit too far away to include. And I sent them off into the future. And this byline will go off to the future too. And that one is very interesting. Now we'll zoom on to the next part. You can see we're hovering around that byline nicely, and we stayed above, pretty much above it. We went under it a little bit. And then we had, what's this called? A bear trap.
Bear trap.
Bear trap went under the line, we above the lines, and off we went. And you can see this yellow line can still kind of be used for this cycle. I don't really need to draw a new one in. I would have lowered it down to here, but it would be very similar. So I'm going to leave it like that. And then I drew in new bylines here in blue. So the first 2013 bull run was in yellow, and the second one, which is in late 2013, is in blue. Now, I pop in those bylines underneath these candles, send it off into the future, and then I connect these candles here. I'll make it smaller for you so you can see. Now, what you can notice very quickly is this yellow byline, which now became a sell line when price was under it, is close to where people were selling. So it went, if it was here, it would be perfect. I'm not saying these lines are going to be useful in the future, but they could be guides, and we'll see if they're useful. I don't know how far into the future they will go and if they'll be paid attention to. So these are the blue bylines for 2013 and going into 14. And you can see this one held up over here pretty well. And we send them off into the future. So this is just practice to show you how to draw bylines. And it's easy now for me to follow the graph, for me to find the next stage of the bull run, because it'll be up here along the lines. Here we go. Now, this is 2017 at the start. And I put in red bylines here. So the red ones are the new ones in 2017-18 cycle. And we can still see the blue and yellow lines are here. Now, what do they do is a different question. So we can see this yellow line, which was the peak of the first cycle, not the second one, is kind of close to the top. It's just interesting. We can see, look, we hit off this blue line here. See a lot of price action in between these ones. And we sent off our new red ones into the future. And you can see a lot of price action still bubbling around previous lines. And then this is our current cycle, where I drew in green lines. But this is now getting very crowded with the lines from the past. What we can notice, this yellow line turned out to be our bottom here. This red line was our top here. And this blue line was our top. And these are all pretty perfect lines.
Yeah.
And I did draw these in the previous cycle, not in this cycle. And even if I didn't, I would now match them up because they can give us more information on the future. We're not looking for, oh, did it hit this line?
Yeah.
Who cares? What could happen in the future? Will any of these lines be relevant? I don't know. But I'm confident these green ones will, because they are recent new buy lines that are just from our current bull market. And you see, when we hit the yellow line, we were pretty much on the green one too. And price bounced up and carried on. And I wouldn't be surprised if we took another bounce or two bounces off this as we move forward, and it'll probably align with other indicators later and other supports and resistances. And this is where we get a lovely bounce from a buy line. Like we got a bounce here from the buy line. If we came down, got another bounce there, that would be great. Going under it would signify possibly the end of the bull market. I wouldn't like to see weekly closes behind this. I would be very worried. And so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 buy lines, and this was just a sell line. And how can they influence price in the future? We'll see. It would be very interesting if we can get above this line. I think we would go a lot faster if we got above that, but it might not be something that will happen depending on how fast we travel, because that would bring us up to 100,000 K by November 2022. Oh, we'd have to break that. We're going to have to break that reasonably soon if we want to be going above. What prices are we at? Yeah, that's 100K. So we'd want to break that reasonably soon. And then we would be challenging these if we want to go to some predictions like 300,000, 400,000, or 500,000. I'm going to try not to give you predictions. But it would be very interesting. Imagine if we stopped at this red line.
Yeah.
That would be interesting, but I'm not saying we will. I have no idea. I just drew in some buy lines so you know how to draw in buy lines. And I do think these green ones could play a part in the bull run.
I know it looks like
it looks a little confusing, but I think it's interesting. And I do think drawing buy lines from the start of when price started to go up for any of your coins is great, because if like for this coin, if it was any other coin, normal with Bitcoin, people get a little bit confused and they don't draw these lines on the weekly graphs so frequently. But you would buy here, and when you see all this price action, you would know to sell. Everybody's like, Bitcoin's going to the moon, so they just weren't selling, or they didn't sell. And then we came straight down and we lost most of our buy lines. And you can see we kind of bounced off. We bounced off this one. We bounced off this one. We fell through this one, and there was no more bounce. And that's what led to a lot of sideways. So you can draw your buy lines. I always draw one like this on every coin straight away on the day or the weekly graph. It'll depend. See, Bitcoin is a much older coin than all of the coins. So you can do these things on the weekly graph. With some newer coins, you won't have enough information to be drawing many lines on them. All right, so that's buy lines and their possible relevance. And these green ones are surely going to come into play. As you've seen, they already are. And we'll see if we can get a bounce from this one somewhere. I think if we were up here, that would be nice. It's still quite a low number. So we'll see. If we go up here like this, come down, we could be bouncing near the green buy line very easily, or sending a wick to it wouldn't be very difficult. All right, I'll talk to you all later on the next topic. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.
All right, buy lines. I do like my buy lines. I think buy lines are great.
Yeah, they are.